Greetings and salutations, all. It's your boy Midnight coming to you live from the Midnight Cinema. And today I wanted to discuss Landman episode 5. Now, I had to go back and rewatch them the past couple weeks. As you know, if you've been around, that I've been having to pack up in the last week of school, move, finish these last couple of projects. I hadn't been able to sit down and actually do these reviews. So I'm gonna do episode 5 for you. I already rewatched it and I took some notes on it just so I could at least be, you know, engaged. Prepared for this video essentially. So here in this episode, we noticed that Jimmy from the cartel he pulls up on Tommy and Dale and Boss while they're checking out this new rig, seeing if they can actually get more men on this particular site. And this is the first time that Dale and Boss are hearing of this. Their first time seeing this. Not Bobby, Tommy tells, Dale to end the recording. He asks everybody if they got that iron on them, right? They all do. They insure it. And Dale films the whole thing. Tommy has a standoff with Jimmy about, Jimmy saying that you owe me about like something to the equivalent of $30 million, or, you don't know anything about my business. And Tommy says, listen, I will have the U.S. armed forces come up in here and play war games like that. That's what will happen if you keep trying to, claim things that are not yours for yourself. The road was never theirs. The plane was never theirs, and all the drugs, that's their problem. You trying to muscle your way in just because you're so big and bad in the drug game, that don't mean nothing when it comes to things legally. You're a criminal. I'm legally doing this. It's not going to hold up in court. At least you would think. It's Texas. So yes, it would hold up in court. And then, you had Monty, and another aspect of the episode that I liked. Well, let me backtrack here. I was going to talk about Monty's oil speech, but before I get to that, let's just hone in on the cartel for a split second here. So what I believe that we're going to see from here on out is a lot more conflict, obviously a lot more impact, because now Jimmy has threatened him and said that you're going to be seeing a lot more of me, essentially paraphrasing in a way. And that, maybe they just start blowing up rigs. Maybe people start going missing. Who knows? But he has to get his money somehow, some way. And I think it's an interesting concept to explore, because at this point, he's desperate. So he's going to try to do all that he can. He's acting like he's not, but essentially he is. And Tommy has the funding of Monty behind him. Monty has politicians that he could speak to. I'm sure he has other businessmen that he could speak to that have deep pocket connections. Like, Monty's so well connected at this point that it would only take but a phone call for him to get everything straight down there. And so once the sheriff gets word, DEA gets word, everybody's going to be swarming that area. So it's not going to be feasible for Jimmy to try to continue muscling his way through the way that he wants to. I just don't see it working out for him. But it's not going to work out for him, but he's definitely going to walk away with some bodies. I think he's going to walk away with some bodies. I think he's going to walk away with some damage done to MTEX. It's definitely going to be a war. It's definitely going to be a war between these two companies, and I think not the cartel and the company. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And that leads me to Monty's oil speech, which I thoroughly enjoyed, actually. His concept of, he's not worried about the whole the green clean movement. He's like, look, everything has oil in it, as we know. And his focus is keeping oil between $76 and $88 a barrel. No matter however he has to do it, he's going to ensure that. That is the main thing. But this is after these two guys, one British man and one American guy. They're arguing back and forth about stats and all. The American guy, he's like listing out all the stats, really. Talking about the best places to get oil, the best exports to have, the best, imports to have and all. And then you have the British guy who's just, talking about essentially we need, more clean energy. And I think, Monty's kind of the middleman here in a way, but more so on the American side. But it's to a degree a bit of, it doesn't matter if I have people, and these are real stories that he was referring to, people sitting in the streets protesting and blocking off traffic. Things like that actually happened. And I'll save my opinions on that. But Yeah, and just the whole dynamic between the three of them. I think like Monty's trying to get at, look, there's a way that we can kind of get what we all want. But sitting here and bickering and constantly arguing like we aren't all oil men isn't going to help us in the long run. So, and he says that he doesn't care, about it. But then the other American guy tells me, he says, well, you should care about it. Like your children are going to inherit this empire, but your grandchildren, they're not going to really see a dime of it unless, you put something forward that can progressively, move down in the generations. So, in my mind, that was an interesting, conversation, an interesting concept also to go off of, showing where Monty is in this conflict, and just more of the ideology of the show as well, which, is again, it's like oil is important. It's a dangerous job, and we need it. And until we find a source that's like better and more profitable and can be used more than oil, then we'll be fine. They even mentioned nuclear, but nobody wants to touch nuclear, and it's the cleanest form out there. So it's like, so what do we do, guys? um, so then you had yes. You had Angela's dinner and actually no. Let me pivot from there. Let's talk about Ariana and Cooper. Yeah, let's talk about Ariana and Cooper. So Ariana is obviously still grieving LVO. But you can see that she's kind of developing some sort of feels towards Cooper. Um, I think that obviously that's at some point this is going to turn into a relationship. Let me see something. My mic just came out. My apologies, y'all. Uh, there we go. Okay, that's better. Okay. So as I was saying, um, Ariana and Cooper, their dynamic is really, really sweet because Cooper doesn't really want anything. He's just trying to help, and that's all Ariana's asking for. She calls him over to help with the bills, as we saw at the end of episode 4. She called him over. He said, "Yeah, I can be over." He comes to help with the bills and everything. Just try to sort some things out and help her understand what's going on. He goes as far as even cutting her grass. He's still uncomfortable with the whole idea of her breastfeeding in front of him. He's not used to seeing something like that. So he goes out, cuts the grass, and Hefe the dog is still kind of being a little bit of a bully towards him. But hey, it's just going to take some getting used to. He's not trying to replace OVO. He's just trying to help out. And in the midst of this, Manuel pulls up. He pulls up to the house because he sees that Cooper has now left the backyard. And now we see Cooper in the front yard mowing the lawn. And Manuel pulls up, pulls a gun on him and all. And Ariana, she steps out and, she says something really, really wicked to him. I'm gonna see if I can paraphrase this the best way that I can. But essentially, you weren't here for everything else. You're worried if she sleeps with another man. You're not helping her with the bills. You're not helping with the grass. You're not helping with the baby. You're not helping with food. You're not helping with anything. You're just worried about another man having his hands on her. Like that's it. And he's like, well, Elvio wasn't even cold and in the ground yet. And she's like, well, he's literally just here to help because I don't see you helping or anyone else helping. I haven't seen any, was Antonio? He hasn't shown up to come help. It's just been Cooper. And so she goes in ahead and she surprises him. She says, hey, he just might get the chance because Manuel says, he just wants to screw you. She says, well, he just may get the chance if he keeps playing his cards, right? She walks over to him and she kisses him just to, prove further a point. Not to, like sexualize Cooper, but just to kind of essentially mock Manuel. And Cooper says, that's the second time you pointed a gun at me. Third time is going to be the last. And Manuel says, oh, yeah, it definitely is. So he pulls off and leaves. And so, they discuss the situation. And furthermore, that comes back to obviously bite Cooper later on. And, well, with that whole thing, as before I get to that specific thing, another scene with Cooper and Ariana, before he leaves to go to dinner with the family, he says, or she says to him that, one thing that she likes about him is that he doesn't talk much. He just kind of listens, and he says, "Well, I mean, how do you give?" If he says, if there was something that I could say, I would say it. She says, "Well, there's nothing you can say. Everyone who has this, great advice, and they're all doing the talking, but nobody's listening. That's what it is. And no one has anything to say that helps." Which I was like, you know what? That's interesting, because when people lose people and people pass on, everyone says, "I'm sorry, my condolences." It's like, yeah, that sounds nice in theory, but it's not gonna help. It doesn't bring the person back. Um it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the circumstances. Like, people want that person back. They would want to have their Yeah, they want to have their person back. I mean, I get it. It feels weird saying I'm sorry, and like, I heard in a movie once. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but somebody said, I'm sorry," because this character had lost somebody. He said, "It wasn't your fault. You didn't do it." I can't remember what movie it was. Somebody let me know what movie it was. You probably know what it is that I'm talking about, but it's true. I mean, it's not your fault. Stop saying I'm sorry. So I think that's the thing that we all could work on a bit. But spend more time listening as opposed to trying to advise. I vibe with that. I like that. I also want to say that Nate and Ainsley are definitely the unsung heroes of the series so far. Comedically, she walks up, she sees Nate and Kayla talking about the settlement. They discuss it. Um, Kayla's not pleased having to come to the house. Well, I mean, the work sites are not feasible or appropriate because all the guys are at the work sites, and so it's better if they just meet at the house, discuss it. They're talking about a $250,000 settlement, and he said, "Well, if that's not enough," she said, "We'll offer 300,000. If that's not enough, we'll offer 400,000. And if that not be the case, she's going to keep doing whatever she can. She's probably going to threaten them with a lawsuit or something crazy, or the fact that she's not going to give them anything, and then give them $500,000 and say that should be sufficient." So they agree. So pretty much putting them in a submission hold until they do agree to an amount. And then Ainsley walks in, bikini on and all. Sees Kayla, asks Kayla if she wants to come, if she has a bikini, she wants to go in the pool, if they want any popcorn. It's just funny, the whole bit. Then she's asked to go to this patch party by this neighbor. After that, after bathing in the sun, and we hear Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan playing. I love that song. It's a great song. As soon as it came out, I was like, yes, love this song. And Nate, he's always trying. He's just walking on eggshells. He's like, "I'm not trying to do anything." It's like you can see he's so visibly uncomfortable with the situation. It's so funny. Which then goes into Angela's dinner, which she set up and prepared for everyone. She ordered some new furniture. She wanted to deck the house up because now, she's like, "All right, me and Tommy, we got to make this work now." So she wanted to at least have the home be a home, right? And Tommy didn't really care, and she's upset that he does. I mean, she ordered some bowling. She got some bolognese that she had imported. She pretty much used everything on Victor's credit card to, pay for all this stuff, right? And everyone's sitting down, they're eating. Cooper comes by. Ainsley's disgusted by the fact that Cooper's so dirty. Angela's happy to see him, and you have. She asks Cooper, well, no, not Cooper. She asks Tommy about his day, and he tells her everything that went down. The cartel thing, and then eventually says the hemorrhoid popped, and it just to kind of spite her or be smart. And she didn't really appreciate that, obviously. So she goes in the kitchen and throws a bit of a fit. She also got Nate's name wrong again. She said Ned or something else with an N. I can't remember. It's not Nadine. It was something. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But he's like, "It's Nate. Nate, please." She's like, Nate, because she always messes his name up. Which again was the funnier one of the funnier aspects of this. And she throws the fit, and Tommy's like, "Look, I mean, you throw a tantrum, we disagree on something, you throw a tantrum, then I throw a tantrum, and then it's like this whole big cycle all over again. You got to be able to understand that I'm not going to always appreciate what's going on. I'm not always going to acknowledge what's going on. It's just you do it because you like it, and just don't have these high expectations because you have these high expectations in your head, and then when they don't happen, this is what you do." And then, we end up fighting again. And he starts joking with her about her period, and she's like, she starts, kind of being like, watch it now, but she's laughing too. And he keeps calling the bolognese spaghetti, and so she threatens him to say it again, and she kicks him in the nuts. Well, she punches him in the nuts, really. And he's like, "What was that for?" And she said, "See, you wanted to see what I was talking about, right?" And Ainsley's smiling, Cooper's not. And she's like, "Why aren't you happy?" And he says, "Because he's old enough to remember how it was when they were together." And then later on, Cooper goes back to his spot on the patch and walks inside his home just to get jumped by Manuel and Antonio and a few others. And he's beaten pretty badly. It's blood all over the place. But at this point, Cooper and Angela and the rest of the gang, they don't really know what happened until, afterwards. So Tommy gets up to go to work. Angela decides to ride with him. She goes with him. They head to this new site. And this guy he's got a call about these pipes not being organized correctly. And he stands on top of him, not Tommy, the guy who called. And he, stomps them. And then all of them come falling down on top of him. And he gets crushed. And Tommy's he calls 911. And then, he says, they ask, is he still breathing? He's like, not anymore. Yeah. A crazy ending to the episode for sure. Was not expecting that to happen, but I definitely audibly gasped. Was like, oh, yeah. This is the longest episode to date so far, I believe, since the pilot, maybe. I believe this might be longer than the pilot episode, actually. But this was a good episode. I really liked this episode a lot. Got more story, more things moving forward, obviously. And how we're starting to see how all these dynamics are going to start to kind of come into play. So when we get into episode 6, we'll discuss it. And you guys let me know your thoughts of the episode. That's just my review, my recap of it all. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm loving all the performances from everybody, the song choices, the score. I gotta say, I cannot wait until that score is officially released for the series because it is it's so damn good. I mean, it's really, really good. So I can't wait for the score to come out for it. I need to find out who's doing it. But, Taylor Sheridan, he doesn't miss. So, guys, with that being said, I'll see you on the next video. Y'all take care and have a great rest of your day. Y'all gonna check me out at these here socials. I'll see you all in the next one. And by the way, make sure that you stay tuned for all types of content that I got going on at this here channel. Remember, one pack, one nation, one smooth hell.